Good evening from Huntsville, Utah. Today is Wednesday, January 24th, 2024. It's 5:13 p.m. Mountain Time and 37 degrees. So Huntsville is a very small, at least in population, community and but it's technically part of the Ogden Clearfield Metropolitan Statistical Area in the Ogden Valley. But when I was looking at, for example, the population estimate, it's about 642 people. So not a lot of people here, but it was founded in 1860 by Jefferson Hunt, probably why it's named Huntsville. The Shooting Star Saloon is the oldest continuously operating bar west of the Mississippi, and it's located in this town, so we'll take a peek at that. Unfortunately, with all the snow that is here, some of these places are going to be like not really accessible because it's not like a sidewalk type of town. So for example, this right here is the Huntsville Town Park. So there's like a little baseball diamond down that way. There's soccer nets. I can see basketball courts over there, gazebos. So it's a pretty decent sized park, but probably better to frequent it during the summertime and such. But let's do a little bit of a walk around. I'm in kind of like the middle part of the town where the most touristy things are concentrated. Over here it says Compass Rose Lodge. It's like a little hotel, so that's pretty cool. So even though this is a small town and there's not, much to do here, so to speak, it could be one of those things where it's like a really cool getaway. And you are, if you go to Huntsville, you are still relatively close to things like snow basin. So if you maybe the rates are cheaper here. I like how they have the Chevron gasoline. It says original gas pump. Now I don't know if all these things are open for like all parts of the year. For example, it says there's also First Lift Coffee here, but whether or not they're open, I don't know. But you can see you've got some interesting seating over here. You've got like some TP tents over there. Welcome to the main attraction, the sun. Let's take off to our next destination, Mercury. Oh, so this must be one of the things. I don't know what direction it's going to go, but if you walk a certain path, like this is the sun, and then it's like a distance equivalent. Like, let's say hypothetically you walked 100 feet and that would be Mercury somewhere. Then, oh, it says 531 feet is Mercury. That's proportionate to whatever else they set up. You can see they also did a little decorating in near town square for the Christmas season. Even though it's near the end of January, we still see the decorations all set up. Some of the parking is plowed like over there, but a lot of the parking on this side, for example, you can see, they can only push the snow so far. And a lot of the Christmas decorations are also buried. This is the I was going to try to name the intersection. Oh, there it is. 200 South, 7400 East. You can see over there it says Huntsville Legacy, and there's a statue of some kind. Looks like a family, so maybe that's calling back to the Legacy family that originally would have been in this community. And then over on this side, I believe they call this Huntsville Square, which is where you have a lot of the establishments. But I did read online again that a lot of these places I think are seasonal. For example, IDK Barbecue, established 2014. Let's see what the sign says. We are closed temporarily for updates on our opening. Follow us on at IDK BBQ on Facebook and Instagram. So you'll have to look online. The Shooting Star Saloon is definitely the place, from what I've read, that's always pretty much open here. This building is available for lease, but you do have a kind of a cool signage here, like a directional way signs. New York, Park City, 65 miles away. New York, I guess, is 2,200 miles away. Snow Basin, 6 miles. And then right here you've got Joyful Smiles, a family dentistry. So again, small town, but hey, if you're in this community, you still need to have dentistry services. There's a public restroom right there in the town park. I'm only going to walk a tad bit further just to show what this building is. I thought this was one of the government buildings. Oh no, sorry, this is a church. So that's one of the churches in the Huntsville area. The reason I want to walk back this way is because while we still have daylight, because the sun is going to set pretty quickly, I want to make sure that I'm capturing the businesses that are in this little heart of Huntsville. By the way, the drive to Huntsville from Ogden is about 22 minutes. I wouldn't call it bad per se, but me being still a relatively new driver, driving for 4 months, and my partner warned me ahead of time saying, she said, like, you sure you want to drive that? Like, I wouldn't do that with this weather because of potential icy roads and how narrow it is and hilly. And I was like, I think it'll be fine. And again, it was still fine, but it was definitely the most narrow roads I've driven to get here. So you do have to be like full attention on the road, and it's skinny, very narrow. All right, so we're back to where we were. We've got Huntsville Mercantile. Looks like there's some type of historical note on the building. I don't know if this is currently in operation because inside kind of looks empty. But it looks like back in the day it used to be Leon's Market Building. That's what it was in the 1970s, but then early 1900s. Originally built as a 2-story, 4-course, wide brick structure. Second story was removed in 1964 for structural concerns. Operated as a general store with groceries, hardware, dry goods, animal feed, gas, kerosene, and more. So, and you can see over here, it's like a little Robert E. Aldous cabin, 1861. So perhaps that's an original structure there. And you can see like embedded in that area, which I may not get to because it's, I know I didn't bring boots. I wasn't thinking like, oh yeah, it's probably going to be snowy up here. But you can see like a bear statue inside of a wagon. You got the Huntsville Town Hall offices. Huntsville History Center, open Wednesday 10 a.m. to noon, so very limited hours, or you can make an appointment perhaps. Here's your signage for Huntsville Square, home of the Huntsville Barbecue, Detours Rental Shop, Joyful Smiles, Old Fire Station. This is the Gold Rush Art Gallery. And then over here, probably the most famous place, the Shooting Star Saloon. Famous place in Huntsville that people flock to, and it's no coincidence that all the cars are over here. So I imagine you'd have a nice mix of locals and visitors. Cash only. Oh, interesting. Well, I was thinking about going there to grab something to eat, but the sign says cash only, no checks, debit, or credit cards accepted. So if you are thinking of ever visiting, that's something important to know. Make sure you bring some cash. Here's another art gallery. Greenhouse art. And then over here, not sure if that's a house or something else. Let me trying to reference Google Maps here. Google Maps doesn't show any signage for a business, so that might be a residential house. And I do see like a dog in the yard. And if we keep walking a little bit further here, you have Imagine Music. I can only assume it's a music store. Now what do we have on this side? Valley House Inn. So it's another mini hotel that you can try to stay at. And that's sort of it for like the downtown, if you want to call it downtown Huntsville area. You can see this is 200 South, 7300 East. But let's try to walk down one of these streets, maybe just to get a perspective of some of the houses that are here. And again, you can see even the roads here, how narrow they are. Like, this is not a one-way street. This is a two-way street. But because of the snow, there's only so much space they can plow it, so you have to be careful when you're driving. But again, with such a limited population, it's not like you're going to have bumper-to-bumper traffic or circumstances where you're really having two cars go in the same direction at one time. It's funny as there's like a sign there indicating crosswalk, but I don't know where it is because the snow is burying everything. You can see, it's always nice to see examples of what some of the houses look like in the neighborhood. Like, this is a pretty decent sized house. And we didn't get to it, but there was a Ogden Valley Branch library near, like, if you remember where that mercantile store was, according to the maps. If I would have gone So if I would have continued going like that direction when we saw the mercantile store, it would have led me to the library. And I think the planets like Mercury and all those things would have been down that direction too. You can see we're running into a dead end down here. Let's see if we can make a left turn. Now, if you kept on going straight ahead, you would eventually run into a big body of water that's part of the Pine View Reservoir. And actually, if we kept going, try to figure out my bearings. I'm relying on the GPS. If we went significantly that direction, there's actually a Cemetery Point beach. Oh, you hear the church bells ringing. 5:30. Well, it rung once. But yeah, there's a beach that would be here in Huntsville. It's also right next to the Pineview Reservoir, and there's also a Huntsville cemetery kind of adjacent to the beach. So when I was looking at that on Google Maps, it was kind of weird because you've got the water, you've got the beach, and then like right next to it, you've got the big cemetery. And I say unusual because typically you don't think of yourself relaxing at the beach and then a cemetery being right next to you. You can see over here it must be like a little bit of a barn or farm area, and then the house associated with it. And then over here on our left, we've sort of made a big square. But I did want to capture this. I'm glad they had a sign that said Huntsville Square. It's always nice to see signage for either picture opportunities or, just kind of feels more official that you were there. It says Huntsville Square, historic gathering place for, trying to zoom in on my phone, Shoshone, Pow Pow, whatever that is, mountain men, pioneers, Granny Smith, rodeos, athletic events, education, over 100 World War II veterans. They lived to serve. You can see the gazebo again with picnic tables. Well, look at that moon that is fully out right now. I don't know if you can pick that up on the camera. Probably not. Oh, my camera cut out for a second there. What was I saying before that? Oh, I tested my internet connection out right before I started filming the video. And the internet connection, the download speed here was terrific. It was like 216 megabits per second. The upload speed was decent, 12 megabits per second, but usually I like to see an upload speed of like 20 to 30 megabits per second, at least if I'm going to consider doing like a live stream. So again, this is repeat territory. But I figured since I'm here, I might as well continue on down this way and check out the library. Maybe I can also go down this path. I didn't go down here earlier, but this is all plowed, and this is part of that town square area. I don't think there's really going to be like a ton that we're seeing in here, but you can see like the cabin, kind of the look and feel of a bar. It's one of those like old town vibes. Well, because it is an old town, but I mean old town where the public can still access it. You've got a couple of license plates on there. More license plates here. Oh, and even over there, even more license plates. Try to snag a picture of this area. I don't know if there are things operating in each of these places, or if it's just more of like a historical preservation of Old Town. Oh, look at that guy over there. He's kind of on, I don't know, looks like skis of some kind, but like rolling skis. And here's that bear I was referring to. There's the guy still going. I'm gonna take a selfie with this real quick. Donut Falls. Cheaters will be shot. So like I said earlier, this is the last bit I wanted to check out based on Google Maps. Seemed to indicate that there was a public library at the end down here, kind of where most of the rest of those cars are. So that'd be nice if you're a resident in a small area like this. You get a public library to kind of relax, peaceful, read books or whatever else. Another sign indicating Huntsville Square. I guess they call multiple blocks Huntsville Square. Yeah, there it is, the Huntsville Public Library. Definitely out of all the buildings I've been seeing, it's the one that you can tell is a modern structure. Like doesn't fit with the old town vibe. I wonder if those are pickleball or tennis courts over there. Kind of looks like they might be, but it's hard to tell with all the snow. Well, I was trying to see if I could find Mars, but let's take another look at the library. You can just see it's at least one level. I'm not sure if there's a second level with that upper part, but there's rows of books. I imagine there's probably a school somewhere in the vicinity of the area, and probably some other places I'm missing, like a little firehouse. This is corner of 7400 East and 1st Street. That might be all I cover, but let me check real quick on Google Maps again to make sure there's nothing else. My hands are a bit cold, so I'm trying to... You can see there's some farms back there with horses outside. Yeah, if I kept going that way, eventually there'd be a bed and breakfast, but I'd have to walk a bit. And if I kept going that way, we'd also eventually get to where, like, the Cemetery Point beaches, and there's a Ogden Ranger District. And then let me see if there's anything behind me. Going that direction a few blocks, there's a place called the Snowy Shack, but that also says temporarily closed on Google. Alright, so I guess that's where we will end this video of Huntsville. I'm sure people... Let me flip this around for a second. I'm sure people who are familiar with Huntsville and have been here or lived here know more about the intricate details and history and hidden little gems that I missed. So if that's the case, be sure to leave a comment down below and tell us what you thought of Huntsville, or what you've thought of it if you've been there in the past. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you next time. Signing off from Huntsville, Utah. The Weber County Library Ogden Valley branch. Also, you can put your official ballots here. What? And you've got a Tesla charger here? A Tesla charger in Huntsville, and one is actively being used. How about that? Also have, kind of looks like a bike rack.